Yo, what's up guys? This is none other than TJ Hines at REI Geek Swag. You are tuned in to REI Geek Swag University. I do appreciate you for go ahead and clicking on that thumbnail so that way you can go ahead and get whatever concerns or questions that you have answered right now. I tell you what, today's topic is going to be very, very fruitful for you. So what I want you to do before we get into today's topic is so that way you don't miss out on any of this great content that I have to provide. 10 years of experience of investing in real estate, not just wholesaling, but many different avenues too as well. But we got our start in wholesaling real estate, and that's essentially what we're so passionate about teaching you. And so what I want you to do is click that subscribe bell that you see just popped up there. And what we're going to do is notify you every time we drop a new piece of content. And so what I'm going to talk about today is more around mindset and strategy too as well. And when you're just now getting started out in your particular area, your particular market, you may have some challenges. And one of those challenges are going to be finding a deal. And what presents that challenge of finding a deal is the competition that is in your current marketplace. So we'll go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months without finding a deal in our primary markets that we desire to be in. And then we say to ourselves, you know what? We got to be in a different market where there's less competition. And I'm going to share some of the pros and cons with you of investing in metropolitan markets in population size of 200 to 250,000 or more. You definitely want to stay tuned. REI, Geek Swag, it's your time to get it back. Okay, I appreciate you for coming on back. Before we go ahead and dive in, just really quick, if you have not subscribed, go ahead and click the subscribe bell button and be sure that you like and comment if you feel as of course this tutorial or this video lesson here has added any value to what we're about to get into right now. And that's the pros and cons of investing in metropolitan markets versus tertiary and secondary markets. So let's start with the pros. The pros of investing in metropolitan statistical areas with a population size of 250,000 or more. One of those pros are more inventory. You always want to be in a market that has more inventory than a secondary or tertiary market may have. Why? Because it's going to give you more opportunities. Now, I know you may be saying to yourself, where we're currently at in the market is a seller's market where there's just lack of inventory everywhere. Well, just think about if it's lack of inventory in a primary market, how bad would it be in a secondary or tertiary market? The second pro why you should be considering metropolitan markets over tertiary and secondary markets is the stability, right? Investors are gonna essentially want to invest in a thriving economy where the jobs are fruitful, where there's more than 1 to 2 employers in that specific town, where city officials are generally working together instead of against each other, trying to create more opportunities and incentives for companies to bring jobs there. Those are the markets that are essentially the most thriving for investors to park their capital and get decent appreciation. The third pro, we just kind of hit on it, and it's in regards to appreciation. When you're in these metropolitan areas, these premium markets, they're going to have more higher of appreciation values than they would in tertiary and secondary markets. Not only that, but you're going to be able to get decent cash flow. And one thing that I didn't mention about pro number 2, when it comes to the stability, you have a plethora of tenants to choose from. So even if you have some turnover in your unit, the likelihood chances of you being able to get that unit cleaned up, cleaned out, and then essentially have another tenant move in as soon as possible will increase when you're in these metropolitan areas. So again, stability and then appreciation at number 3. The fourth pro is premium rents. In these premium markets, metropolitan markets, you're going to make sure that you always have premium rents coming in due to the lack of inventory as well as the demand for rentals in these specific markets. Okay. All right. So just keep that in mind in order to get decent appreciation, and what we call above average premium rents in these areas are great for metropolitan markets. So that's another pro that you need to consider. On to the fifth pro, which is liquidity. And I tell you what, this is probably the most important Investors usually make their money when they're buying, not when they sell the property, which means they already know what their exit strategy is going to be. And so in metropolitan markets where the economy is thriving, the jobs are fruitful, guess what? It's going to be much easier for you to liquidate that property because it's going to be more attractive to investors, even hedge funds parking their money inside of a metropolitan market more so than the secondary or tertiary market. Okay, so that is the fifth pro, easy liquidity. On to the sixth pro, which is very huge, ladies and gentlemen, easy accessibility. You have easy access to everything that you want with convenience stores, shopping centers. Even when it comes to availability dealing with contractors, there's more just resources in a metropolitan market that you're gonna find in a tertiary or a secondary market. On to the last pro, number 7. Buyers are fruitful, meaning there are a ton of buyers. You got hedge funds that are simply pouring millions of dollars inside of metropolitan markets. They would never consider investing not their own money, but their resources, the people who they've raised money from inside of these secondary and tertiary markets. They want to have good cash flow with appreciation and easy liquidity. What you got to think about is this, my friend. If they're willing to be inside of these markets, they're willing to pay premium prices for these markets, because these hedge funds, these specific guys, these buyers that are out there, and even mom and pop buyers, of course, are now paying premium prices. But especially hedge funds, they'll pay above premium prices because of the clientele that they serve. They're only looking to get maybe a 5-6% safe return. In real estate, you can do that easily at 12-15%. And so you just got to think about what your end buyer's thinking about when you're going into metropolitan markets versus secondary and tertiary markets. Now what we're going to do is talk about just a few of the cons. First con, your biggest con when investing in these tertiary markets with population sizes as little as 10,000 upwards to roughly about maybe 80 to 100,000 is your limited pool of buyers, ladies and gentlemen. When you're trying to wholesale a deal, liquidate it so that way you can get paid. You don't want any hiccups. You don't want a long process. You don't want this thing to drag out. Remember, you only have 30 days or so. If you contracted the property, give yourself 30 days to go out there and now find that buyer so that way you can close on it. Well, guess what? You can't go out and find the buyer on the 29th day. You got to be able to find that buyer somewhere within maybe that 1 to 3 week time span to leave at least 7 days if they're a serious buyer, so that way you can get free and clear title to close on the deal. What you're going to run into is a lot of local buyers, mom and pop buyers that buy maybe one property per year, if that, in their specific market. And let me tell you, they don't treat that as a real business. They're essentially just holding properties there just to maybe help supplement their retirement income. And so therefore, it's also easier to manage with these local mom and pop buyers. And so guys, you don't want to be in a situation where you're only doing deals every so often. You cannot create a long-term sustainable business in these markets, specifically wholesaling, okay, when you're looking to cash these checks right away. Con number 2, sellers are just more choosy who they get to do business with in this market. They're more picky about the options they have of ready buyers that are getting in contact with them to purchase their home. Okay, so that is a con, but then again, that goes into competition. Again, your job is to make sure that you're following up, that you're nourishing and nurturing the seller, so that way you stay top of mind with them once they do get ready to make that decision to sell. The third con, which is pretty hilarious to me, is staying consistent. Yeah, I said that like that's a con, and it really is for most people. Most people have a hard time staying consistent, 100% committed, no matter how the journey may be going. And so I say that to say this: in order for you to break through in a metropolitan market where there's going to be competition, which you call saturated, you're going to have to be consistent. That is the secret sauce. And if you continually be consistent, you will again become the competition. All right, the last con that we're going to discuss when we're talking about investing in metropolitan markets with 250,000 in population size or more, okay, is you're going to have more time more efforts and resources that you're going to have to deploy in order to get a deal. And that's quite okay. Why? Because there's more competition. But just know this, if you do a great job finding the deal, building rapport with the seller, knowing the right things to say and the right questions to ask to get to their ultimate motivation of why they really want to sell, then my friend, if you do a great job negotiating that deal, you're going to be able to liquidate the deal just like that. Buyers are closing in 7 days. Some of them in 3 days if you can get them free and clear title. What we've just done is giving you all the pros and cons of investing in a metropolitan statistical area, which I highly teach and I highly preach to everyone out there if they're interested in building a long-term sustainable business, okay? When I say long-term, meaning you get to do multiple deals in these specific markets. Why? Because they're much larger, they have more opportunities. In secondary and tertiary markets, you're not going to be able to build a long-term sustainable business. Now, if you just want to treat it as a hobby, you're doing a deal every now and then, maybe just one a year, then okay. So I need you to stay tuned for the next video coming up here shortly in the next few days of the pros and cons of investing in tertiary and secondary markets. Hey, if you felt like this video added any value to your business, do me a favor, go ahead and like the video, share it, comment, and be sure that you subscribe to this channel so that way we can notify you of any great content, exclusive content coming from yours truly, REI Geek Swag, right here at REI Geek Swag U. See you soon. Peace.